All right, so this is awesome. So Donald Trump tweeted this in regards to us bombing a military bridge from Iran. Let's remember, it's a bridge that was used by the military to transport weapons and other missiles directly from one city to another city. All right, let's understand. And we bombed that bridge because fuck terrorists, and which is a based perspective, actually.
The message, it is time for Iran to make a deal before it is too late. Iran responded by posting a list of bridges from Jordan to Abu Dhabi.
God, I love how they make threats. It's like they get obliterated. They're like, oh yeah, well, we're going to obliterate all your bridges. Proceed to do fucking nothing. This is literally what we're dealing with. Right? We're dealing with the third world who knows how to posture and make threats and do fucking nothing. And the entire retard audience is just believing it. They're just falling for the psyop. But if you're watching NuxVortex, you're not falling for the psyop because they're not going to bomb any of these bridges. I guarantee you right now.
That are now potential targets. And
great.
Israel and the U.S. have not damaged the regime's war machine.
Great.
Our strategic military...
Well, as if that really means anything. It's like, you have not injured us at all. They proceed to lose their entire navy. Oh, yeah? We barely even felt that. They lose their whole air force. Oh, yeah? Well, we still have missiles. They lose the bridge that connects cities to carry missiles from one to the other. Oh, yeah? Well, we're going to blow up all of... we're going to blow up Washington. Proceeds to accidentally drop their own missile on their own city.
Military production takes place in locations you are completely unaware of.
Sure.
And will never be able to reach.
They have no radar, by the way. We took out their radar.
The IDF claims to have hit headquarters that Iran used to finance its military operation, as
Base.
Israel releases figures claiming 20% of the regime's budget is spent on weapons. The release says $2 billion were given to Hezbollah in 2025.
Well, I believe that.
And hundreds of millions are funneled to Hamas.
You mean to tell me that the biggest state sponsor of terrorism on the planet is sponsoring terrorism with 20% of their money? Remember, the uprisings in Iran that started like a month or two ago, it all started because they had no money, right? Ultimately, they hated the Iranian regime. They were massacring them. They were torturing them. They were forcing them to be Islamic or die, right? Obviously, these were pretty bad fucking people. But ultimately, it was the fact that they had no money and no water and no food because they were too busy spending their budgets on terrorism. It's almost like their actual goal is just torturing and killing people or something.
So it can strike at Israel from Gaza and the West Bank. Now, that bridge featured in the president's post is a new bridge called the B1 Bridge, 25 miles west of Tehran. The semi-state-run Fars news agency in Iran says 8 people were killed when that bridge was blown up, 95 injured.
That sucks. Iran shouldn't have, precipitated us and forced us to get into a war. And we would not have this issue. You know, honestly, a really big solution to us not killing terrorists is to not actually be a terrorist. I know. It's really hard for a lot of radical Islamic people to wrap their head around this, but we would not kill you if you weren't a terrorist. Now, the reality is, this is from the New York Times, again, not a big fan of Donald Trump. U.S. forces struck the B-1 bridge in Iran on Thursday, eliminating a planned military supply route for sustaining Iran's ballistic missile and attack drone force, a U.S. military official said. The official spoke on a condition of anonymity to share personal details. The bridge connects Tehran to the nearby city of Karaj. Right, so this is our explanation. Our explanation why we bombed the bridge is because it was a bridge used for military purposes. Which means it's not a war crime, it's not attacking civilian infrastructure, it's literally part of an actual war that's going on, and we're trying to cripple a terror state that's been trying to kill us for 47 years. But the left, the left doesn't care about little pesky things like reality or gender. Okay, all right, so anyway, this is but before we get here, all right, so this is Mohammed Safa. This is obviously going to be someone very unbiased, nice Mohammed individual. Imagine if Iran bombed and destroyed the Golden Gate Bridge in California. What would you call it? Terrorists. If the U.S. bombed and destroyed the highest bridge in Iran based, the B-1 bridge based, why do you call it peace? We didn't call this peace. This is war. We're killing terrorists to make peace, but this is war. No one's calling this peace. Bombing a bridge is a war crime under international humanitarian law. I love how Muslims care about international humanitarian law when it's not Islamic terror attacks. All right, now, just to respond to this this has 116,000 likes, 2 million views. Huge story. It's misinformation because obviously it was not a war crime. But you know what? I'll go a step further. Even if it was a war crime, fuck you. That's right. We are here to win. We're here to obliterate the enemy. I hate this leftist gotcha. Leftist gotcha is incredible. It's like, you did a thing that we don't approve of while you're literally trying to dismantle a terrorist regime that tried to assassinate Donald Trump 2 times, declared war on us, killed thousands of Americans, killed 40,000 of their own people, and also has been working to fund terror organizations around the world to fucking kill us, chanting death to America, and now we hit them back and they all cry. The reality is, Iran is violating international law every single day. I don't talk about it so much because I don't really care. They're terrorists. Of course they violate international law. They fund terrorists, which is a violation of international law. They fund the Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas. They literally had Iranian terror attacks on British soil, on American soil, all right, in Venezuela and in Cuba, that they had little hotspots of these retards. The reality is, they're bombing ships, commercial ships on the Strait of Hormuz. That is a war crime. No one's talking about it. They're firing missiles that have cluster munitions to maximize civilian casualties. No one's talking about that. No one cares that that's a war crime under international law. We need to be held to this incredibly high standard, but oh, they're terrorists. They violate it anyway. But we need to be held to that standard. Fuck you. Fuck your platitudes. Fuck your international law. We are international law. I'm so tired of this fake and gay, retarded bullshit being held over our heads. Even if this bridge wasn't used to run missiles around, I still wouldn't give a fuck. I'm sorry for saying the things that so many people are thinking but don't want to say out loud because it makes them sound bad. But the reality is, Iran would love to bomb the Golden Gate Bridge. They just don't have missiles that reach there yet, and which is why we're killing them now very effectively. All right, so this is the the new leftoid movement, Shoe0nHead, who's a leftist ultimately, but normally I like her opinions, but she went so haywire over this Iran war thing. All right, so if Iran blows up the Golden Gate Bridge, that's just normal now and not terrorism. Why are we doing this? Iran would love to blow up the Golden Gate Bridge. They tried to assassinate Donald Trump twice. They bombed 240 Marines in a military base in Beirut, completely unprecedented. They put roadside bombs all over Iraq. All right, are we fucking retarded? They're blowing up random ships in the Strait of Hormuz, random oil tankers not related to them at all or related to us, which again is also a war crime. Like, I love how this is some sort of even measured situation because we bombed them, and that's immoral, so now that gives them the goal to bomb us. They've been trying to kill us for as long as they've existed. This is a retarded, like, leftist platitude that doesn't exist. All right, so this guy says, the days of tying our hands behind our backs when fighting a war are over. We do not care for your false equivocations. We will continue until they capitulate. That is all. That is all, man. That's how it works. And apparently Shoe0nHead blocked him and then deleted this tweet, as far as I understand. So I am so tired of the platitudes. We're fighting a fucking war. I don't care if it upsets women online. I don't care if, Islamists that would love to have us killed anyway, all right, cry and wring their hands over this as, like, this fake emotional bullshit crybaby garbage. They would bomb the fuck out of the Golden Gate Bridge if they could. In fact, they've tried multiple times to bomb different areas in the United States, and they failed because they're barbarians with an average IQ of 78. I think this tweet perfectly encapsulates why I don't care about any of these people's opinions. All right, two things happened in Iran today. One, an 18-year-old was executed by the regime for protesting in one of 650 executions that happened over the last couple of days in Iran. Two, a military bridge, still under construction, not open to the public, was hit. It was also used to carry missiles. Do you know which got the sympathy outrage of the leftists and Islamists? The bridge, of course. They didn't fucking care about Irina Zarutska to the point that they're taking down her mural in different cities because it's divisive. They're crying over a non-operational bridge used for military shit. I am so fucking tired of these emotional platitudes and garbage. We're fighting a war to obliterate the enemy, and that's exactly what we're gonna fucking do. Whether you agree or disagree with the war, the objectives, why it started, what we're doing there, the reality is this is what's happening. So fucking cry about it. And to prove to you that playing hardball actually is working, Cuba is releasing more than 2,000 prisoners as U.S. pressures the island's government. It actually fucking works. You know that? All right, so the Cuban government was a communist regime. It was run by a dictator, essentially, that was just imprisoning anyone that, voices their opposition to communism, which is now it has rolling blackouts. It's a complete shithole. Hassan Piker in shambles. But the reality is, these guys are fucking bowing down to Trump. We knocked off Venezuela. We knocked off Iran. All right. And essentially, Cuba is left to its own devices. Communism cannot exist without getting funded by capitalists, or, ironically, right? So the entire government's collapsing, and now they're capitulating to all of Trump's demands, releasing all these political prisoners, right? So I don't give a fuck about a bridge, okay? We saved these 2,000 people from torture dungeons in Cuba, okay? I don't care about a bridge. I don't care about a bridge even a little bit. And I'm tired of making believe that I have to. you. Fuck you. And fuck your platitudes and equivocations. And yes, this will upset leftists online. And yes, Islamists will call this a war crime as they chant for the genocide of Christians and Jews around the world, burning churches and massacring Nigerian Christians by the tens of thousands, running massive pogroms against minorities like the Druze, Owlites, and Christians of Syria. All right, Hamas doing a genocidal terrorist attack against Jews in Israel. I'm fucking tired of your false equivocations. I'm tired of your moral grandstanding. Nothing you say fucking matters. Now go and fuck off. Anyway, the reality is, people agree with me. So, this is a little bit of leftist magic for you. Remember when you were hating on Trump that oil prices were up? Well, let's look at the average daily price per barrel of oil. All right, under Obama, it was $83. Under second Obama, it was $70. Under Trump 1, it was $50. Under Biden, it was $80. And under Trump 2, it's $65. Even though there's literally a war going on right now. All right, so it's just unbelievably ironic that every bit of the media is crying and screaming about oil. The oil is now the main topic. Trump started a war and now oil's going up because Iran is terrorists and they're doing war crimes and bombing ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Can you imagine how bad it would be if we needed to fight with Iran when they actually had ballistic missiles that were dangerous? If they actually had a nuke? Like, we would not be getting anything through the Strait of Hormuz. All right, if they had nuclear weapons. Not even close. Not even if they had another bajillion ballistic missiles. That is why we're fucking killing them now. And we're doing it effectively. And this will only take another 2-3 weeks. It's a side quest. It's an excursion. You go in there, you fuck them up really well, really very effectively. You shut your ears to the crying, screaming Mohammeds and libtards, and you just go on your merry way. And the left knows that, which is why, people complain about Trump. Right? People are complaining about Trump right now, that he's doing something that's relatively unpopular, and he's right. I think only about 40% of America actually approves this Iran war. I think the propaganda is absolutely insane. But the reality is, everyone hates the Democrats because no one is buying this bullshit.
Like yourself do to try to satisfy the demands of your voters. Like yourself do.
Yeah, so do congressional Democrats have the right priorities? Yes, 25%. No, 74%. 74%. This is while they're screaming and yelling and crying about how Donald Trump is immoral and bad and fascist, and the Democrats, they're fighting back. No one fucking is buying the shit for a second. I have plenty of complaints about Trump, and I voice them all the time. I want Trump to start locking up federal woke judges. I really do. I think that would be very nice. Mass deportations of 30 million people? Hell yeah, please give it to me. I have my Trump complaints. Bombing a fucking bridge in Iran? That is not one of them. No matter how many women are crying online, making false equivocations of, oh no, now the radical Muslims now have an excuse to do terror attacks on us. Yeah. Because notably, Muslims have never done terror attacks on us before, and now they're going to get started. I'm sorry, but this is literally the hard truth that you're going to need to hear. No one fucking cares about your platitudes. Go cry about it. It's just the absolute irony of absolute silence when Iran massacres 40,000 of their own people. Absolute silence when Iran bombs actual regular commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz, a war crime. Absolute silence when Iran does war crimes like firing cluster munitions literally everywhere, engaging in war with all their neighboring countries that have nothing to do with anything. Kuwait, Bahrain, all these other countries, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Turkey, bombing all those people for literally no reason. They weren't involved. That's all a war crime. It's an aggression. It's aggression for no reason. All right, Qatar didn't pose an imminent threat to Iran, but Iran did that. I don't see anyone complaining about that. And it's because this gigantic global hegemony, all right, of these retards coming together to criticize the United States, essentially, because we are the powerhouse on the planet and we could fucking do whatever we want. And they all know that. So they have to make these artificial fake rules that we have to fake follow in order to fake be part of the good guy club. And they're going to brand us with all sorts of labels, racists and Islamophobes and war criminals. And they'll use these stupid fucking words that mean absolutely nothing these days, let's be honest. And they're going to use them to try their absolute best to control us, because they can't do anything else to control us, because ultimately we can do whatever the fuck we want. We're the world power. In this case, we're taking care of terrorists that threatened everyone. You're welcome. We're accepting thank you cards at 1 Pennsylvania Avenue. Me on vacation. Excuse me, honey, I have to go to the car and yell at retards for 2 hours. I wish other political commentators actually had the balls to say this, because I know some people think it, and it's just no one wants to put their balls on the line and drop a truth nuke like this.